So we've had a bit of fun, and we've been putting together, whilst there is a WTA ranking top 10, there is also Coach Dan's current top 10, not over the last 52 weeks, but probably in the last 12 weeks. Yes, Coach Dan, about 12 weeks? Am I going to put it up? It's going to start off as a blank page, and we're going to gradually add the 10 names. And if you're here live, pop your comments. And even if you're not, even if you're here later, pop your comments on who would you put in the top 10. And if we put someone in that you don't think should be in, then you tell us who you want us to leave out.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to shuffle names around. There are lots of ways of measuring inform. Who's in form? You can look at the last week. You can look at the last 2 or 3 weeks. You can look at the surface, so form on the surface that's relevant to the current
weather.
event. You can look at individual players and just how they're playing on the court. So
whether they're home fan base or Alex.
So we're taking just a kind of general gut instinct, gut feel for this. And for me, there are 3 players at the top at the moment.
You want to see all? You're going to reveal all 3?
These 3 players, they're still in Cincinnati. Iga Swiatek won in Toronto. If you're talking about current players on hard court who are very much in the mix for being at the top of the game, certainly inside the world's top 4. These 3 names, you'd be hard not to say they aren't deserving of an in-form ranking inside the top 4. So you can see that those names are actually regulars inside the top 4 over time. Iga Swiatek is the player that has been most out of form over the last year, but in the last couple of weeks, she's looking very good again. So in form, you have to put her in the mix, and she could well win back-to-back events, Toronto and Cincinnati. Jessica Pegula is always a great benchmark in terms of hard court form, and that will get Alex Ayala fans very excited, because obviously Alex beat her on hard court in Washington, and we will come to Alex.
Who may or may not be on the list. There's going to be a drum roll.
But those 3 for me, you can argue which the pecking order is going into the US Open this weekend in Cincinnati will kind of clarify that. But those for me have pushed the likes of Sabalenka and Rybakina below them. And so,
this is in order then.
Those 3 are very much in my top 4 for being in form.
Right, who's the next one then? Who's going to arrive? Who do you think? Oh, is it going to be drum roll?
They're in no particular order. These next names are there for a reason, just because they've had the winning habit a lot in 2026. Marta Kostyuk has been very consistent. Yes, she lost to Coco Gauff yesterday or overnight, but she's been getting to the latter stages most weeks, quarterfinals, semi-finals. Her best form for me is on clay, but she's going to be very difficult to beat in the early rounds of the US Open. I don't consider her to be a potential semi-finalist, but if you're saying top 10 players,
which we are,
recent form from the last 12 weeks, etc., I think you have to have Marta Kostyuk inside the top 10, as you do Linda Noskova.
There she goes.
Has obviously got to cope with now she's the Wimbledon champion. She's lost to Anisimova. She lost last week earlier in Toronto to McNally. So there is a question mark over Linda Noskova. But in terms of top 10, you have to see her as a potential threat. She's got a big game. And the next 2 names, for me, are interesting. Anisimova, I sense, is coming back into form. She lost very narrowly to Pegula this week in Cincinnati. It went to a match tiebreak in the final set. That match could have gone either way. Anisimova was a breakup in that deciding set tiebreak, a mini breakup. Pegula just edged her. She has a winning record of 7-0 head-to-head record, but Anisimova, finalist last year, now she's on the American hard courts. We saw her beat Alex. It was Alex was ahead in that match for most of the first two sets, but at the end of the second set, midway through the second set onwards, Anisimova started to play better, and she took that form, beat Noskova in the next match, and then pushed Pegula very close. So for me, in terms of current form, now she's back with her old coach, but refreshed, formed that partnership once again. She's definitely, for me, going into the fast hard courts of Flushing Meadows in New York, a top worthy of a top 10 spot.
And drum roll for the next one.
As is, I'll just talk a little bit about Naomi Osaka. Osaka's had a very, very solid past 4 months. She is a player that no one will want to play. She lost very close match to Rebecca in the last event in Toronto. She's not played in Cincinnati, but she has made final in Bad Homburg, quarterfinal at Wimbledon, semi-final in Washington, and quarterfinal in Toronto. Beaten Sabalenka, as we know, in Wimbledon. She has only lost to really good informed players, and so Osaka for me is worthy of a top 10 informed ranking. Which then, having mentioned all those players, you have to say that Alex Ayala, who I know is the next name, is worthy of being talked about as being in the top 10 in terms of in form going
Right
into the US
now.
Open, not based on the last 52 weeks of the year. Interestingly, she's actually 12th. There's a ranking list that is based on um, giving weighting to the strength of the opponents you beat. And Alex is actually in that list 12th in the world, not 18th, which is her live ranking, but she's actually higher up the ranking based on the quality of your opponent. So sometimes I say, well, it's a very good player. They've won a lot of matches, but they've won them at a lower level. Alex has been playing at the highest level, and she's played a lot of the top players. As we know, she's beaten a lot of the top 10 players, but her quality of wins uh, is actually stronger than many of her sort of players ranked in and around.
And is that an official listing then?
No, it's a separate list, but it's based on a weighting based on the quality of the opponent. But for me, we mentioned Iga Swiatek at the top, Alex Peter at Wimbledon. We've mentioned Jessica Pegula. She's beating her in Washington. We've mentioned Naomi Osaka, and she's beaten Naomi Osaka in Washington. So Alex has to be talked about in the top 10. And the last two names, which are obviously inside the top 10, Arina Sabalenka, under threat in terms of the world number one. But in terms of form guide, you have to have Sabalenka actually below all those names we've got there, just simply because, and this is a staggering stat, if you look at the tour season in terms of just weeks, the calendar months, January, February, March, up to and including April the 27th, so virtually the first 4 months of the year, Sabalenka had lost just once. She'd lost just one snap. And then on April the 28th, in Madrid, she played Hailey Baptiste in the quarterfinal, and it went all the way to a final set tiebreak. And Sabalenka lost to Hailey Baptiste on April the 28th. Now we go from April the 28th, May the 28th, June the 28th, July the 28th. We're not quite at August the 28th, but we will be before the US Open starts at the end of next week. So it's virtually the same period since April the 28th as before it. Sabalenka, having lost just once in those first 4 months, has lost 7 times since, starting with that second defeat of the year to Hailey Baptiste. She's then gone on and lost to Castella in Rome, Snyder in the French Open, Pegula in Berlin, Osaka in Wimbledon, and then more worryingly, back on the hard courts, leading into the US Open, she lost to Alexandrova in Toronto and Balick this last week in Cincinnati. And she has not won more than 3 consecutive matches in her last 4 events. And you cannot consider Arina Sabalenka in the top 4 on current form. You struggle to put her outside the top 10 clearly, but she is in
But she's gone down at number 9, especially. I
she's
mean,
in worrying
with thought.
she's in a worrying run of form, and it wouldn't surprise me if Sabalenka comes back to form at the US Open. A lot will depend on her draw, but when she's played players who have raised their game and played well, she has lost virtually every time, and it started with the Baptiste loss, and it continued against Schneider in the French Open, which was a very significant loss when she was well ahead. And more worrying for Sabalenka is she's been losing from winning positions, so she was well ahead against Schneider, a set and 4-1 up, and lost. And it was a similar story against Balick. She lost in straight sets, but she was ahead in both sets comfortably before Balick came back and beat her 7-6, 6-4. So I have no idea what's going on with Sabalenka off court. I think she's.
There's a lot on Instagram that's got she hasn't got a tennis racket in hand. That's all I've got to say. I have, all of the tennis players' feeds, and I know they're young and they want to play, and so they should be, but some of them are just really a long way from tennis. And Sabalenka, I would say, is number 1 for that